I met Raphael on a March afternoon under the awning of the bus stop on Afonso Pina Avenue. I was 23 years old, worked at a stationery store in downtown Belo Horizonte, and carried a plastic bag full of manila envelopes that my boss had forgotten to order that morning. The rain fell violently, the kind that drowns out the noise of the city. He appeared out of nowhere, blue bank security uniform, large black umbrella, wide smile. "Come on in! There's room for two," he said, without asking my name. I thought it was kindness. Today, I know it was possession. We walked 2 blocks together. He held the handle firmly, always tilting the umbrella toward my side, letting his own shoulder get wet. He asked where I lived, what I did, if I liked certain Asian music. I answered everything, because it seemed polite. When we reached the corner of Bahia Street, he asked for my number. I wrote it on a piece of bread wrapper I pulled from my bag. He folded it carefully, tucked it into his shirt pocket, and said, "I'll call you tonight. Don't go out, okay?" I laughed. I thought it was cute. He called at 8:15. We talked until midnight. He spoke slowly, asked questions about my family, my neighborhood, my routine. He seemed interested. On the 3rd day, he showed up at the stationery store at lunchtime with a beef stroganoff container and a cold Coca-Cola. The store owner made a joke. "Look, Claudia, you got yourself a prince." Raphael smiled but didn't look at the man, only at me. 2 months later, I had already changed my bus route to pass in front of the bank where he worked. He was always at the door, arms crossed, waiting for me. He brought mint candies in his pocket. Said I smelled too good not to deserve a little sweet. When I was promoted to cashier at the stationery store, he didn't celebrate. He said, "Be careful with those people. Bosses like pretty women around, but not for good reasons." I felt a small chill in my stomach, but I ignored it. At the end of the year, he asked me to move in with him. Small 2-bedroom apartment in the Sagrada Familia neighborhood, 3rd floor, with no elevator. His mother had died the previous Christmas, and the property was an inheritance shared with his older brother. Raphael paid the brother's share to have peace. I thought it was noble. I moved in January, with 2 suitcases of clothes and a box of books. He organized everything in the closet while I arranged the kitchen. When I finished, I found my phone on top of the refrigerator. "You forgot it here," he said, handing me the device. "It was in my bag," I replied. "Must have fallen out." That night, lying next to him, I heard the sound of the front door slamming downstairs. Someone leaving or entering. Raphael snored softly, heavy arm over my waist. I kept looking at the ceiling, listening to the rain hit the bedroom window. I thought, everything's going to be okay, but deep doom, very deep doom. A part of me was already praying for a way out I didn't yet know how to name. The move brought silence. Not the good kind of silence, like Sunday morning. The kind that weighs, that fills the rooms and sticks to your skin. Raphael worked alternating shifts at the bank. Sometimes morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes overnight. I continued at the stationery store 9 to 6, Saturdays until noon. When I got home, he was sleeping or leaving. When he arrived, I had already eaten dinner alone. At first, I tried to adjust. I left food ready, a note on the fridge, a message on the phone asking if he wanted me to wait up. He rarely responded. When he did, it was dry. "You don't need to," or "Eat. We'll see each other later." But we never saw each other. 3 months after the move, he installed a padlock on the door of his room, the room that had been his mother's, where he kept her things, clothes, plaster, saints, an old radio. He said it was to preserve the memories. I thought it was strange, but didn't question it. Grief is a private thing. One afternoon, he came home with a second padlock, put it on the kitchen cabinet door where we kept the groceries. Said the downstairs neighbor had a key to the house, inheritance from an old agreement with Mom, and that it was better to lock it. I didn't know any neighbor, but I accepted. Raphael always had an explanation. The next month, another one, on the desk drawer in the living room where I kept my documents. "What for?" I asked, this time wary. "Documents are important. If someone breaks in here, we're screwed. But who's going to break in? Claudia? Just accept it." Do you trust me or not? I trusted, but I started counting the padlocks when he left for Intotao. Small, silver, all with the same key he carried on a keychain attached to his pants. I didn't have a copy of any. The bills were in his name. Water, electricity, internet. I paid half via Pix every month. He said it was more practical. I never saw a bill. My salary barely covered my part. Groceries, the bus. I started bringing lunch to save money. Stopped buying clothes. Stopped going out. My friend Jessica from the stationery store noticed, "You okay?" she asked one day during lunch break. "Yeah, you don't go out with us anymore. It's just that Raphael doesn't really like me coming home late." She frowned. "Claudia, do you guys live together, or did you become the maid?" I laughed it off, but the phrase hammered all afternoon. That night, Raphael arrived at 10. I had made pasta with meatballs, a recipe he said he loved. I set the table, lit a candle I found at the bottom of the drawer. When she came in, he looked at everything, dropped his backpack on the sofa, and went straight to the bathroom. He came back 15 minutes later, grabbed the plate, ate, standing up, at the sink, looking at his phone. "Was it good?" I asked. "It was," he said, without looking up. I blew out the candle, washed the dishes, went to sleep. He stayed in the living room until late, laptop light illuminating the wall. In the middle of the night, I woke up to the sound of the door slamming. I looked to the side, empty bed. I got up, went to the window. I saw Raphael getting into a black car. It wasn't a taxi or Uber. Someone was driving. I saw the silhouette, but not the face. The car pulled away slowly, unhurt. I went back to bed, kept looking at the ceiling, counted the padlocks from memory, 4. But now it felt like there was a 5th, invisible, locked inside my chest. And I didn't have the key. It was on a Thursday, ordinary day, overcast sky, smell of rain in the air. I had left the stationery store early because the owner let everyone go. Problem with city registration, closing at 4. I got home at 5 in the afternoon. A rare thing. The door was unlocked. I entered slowly, heart racing. The apartment was silent, but the living room light was on. Raphael's backpack tossed on the sofa, sneakers on the entrance. He was home in the middle of the afternoon. This never happened. "Rafa?" I called. Nothing. I heard a low sound coming from the room. His room, the locked one. A voice, "No." 2. One of them, female. My whole body froze. I knocked on the door. Raphael. Silence. Then, footsteps. The door opened. He was in shorts, shirtless, wet hair. Behind him, sitting on the edge of the bed, a woman about 30 years old. Yellow blouse, jeans, bare feet. She looked directly at me, without looking away, without shame, without shock, as if I were the intruder. "What is this?" My voice came out then. String-like, "What do you mean?" Raphael closed the door behind him, came out into the hallway. He stood between me and the room. "Who is she?" "Nobody that concerns you." I laughed. It wasn't laughter, it was despair dressed as sound. "What do you mean doesn't concern me?" "You're with another woman inside our house." "Our house?" He raised his eyebrow. "Claudia, this house is mine. You live here because I let you." The phrase hit me like a slap. I tried to get past him, but Raphael grabbed my arm. Firm, didn't hurt, but held. "Let go. You'll go into the room. Now, let go of my arm." He squeezed harder. I said, "Go to the room." Something inside me exploded. I pulled my arm hard, stumbled backward, hit my shoulder on the wall. My phone fell from my bag, hit the floor. Raphael picked it up before I could. Looked at the screen. There was a message from Jessica wanting to come over. Maggie, cake. He read it out loud, mockingly. "Your little friend wants to save you, hon." I tried to grab the phone. He raised his arm out of my reach and threw it. The device flew across the room and exploded against the kitchen wall. Screen, battery, casing. 3 pieces on the cold floor. I stood still, looking at the shards. Raphael walked past me, entered his room, locked the door. I heard the woman's voice on the other side. Low, intimate, then silence. I gathered the pieces of the phone, put them inside an old shoebox I had in the hallway closet, closed the lid, sat on the kitchen floor. The smell of the coffee I had made that morning was still in the air, mixed with burnt. I had forgotten the grounds on the stove. I didn't cry, but something in me died that day, or was born. I still can't say. All I know is that, for the first time, I prayed. Not to God, to myself, to the person I was going to need to become to get out of there. And, very quietly, without meaning to, I thought, I wish he would die. The next day, I woke up with my body heavy and my mind strangely clear. Raphael had already left. He left coffee ready, bread on the table, a note folded under the sugar bowl. Sorry, we'll talk. I crumpled the paper, threw it in the trash. I went to work with the broken phone in my bag, inside the shoebox. Jessica noticed as soon as I arrived. Where's your phone? It broke? How? It fell. She looked at me in a way that hurt more than the lie. In the afternoon, my mother showed up at the stationery store. She never went there. She lived in Contigim, worked as a day laborer, didn't have time for social visits, but this time she came. Someone had told her, I don't know who. Small town inside a big city is like that. Everyone knows everything. Claudia, come here. She pulled me to the sidewalk, away from the counter. Mom, I'm working. Your cousin saw you the other day leaving the building, said you had a swollen eye. I didn't have a swollen eye, but it was enough to seem like it. It was nothing. The cabinet door hit me. I was crouching. Claudia, she held my face with both hands in that firm, warm way that only mothers do. If he lays a hand on you, you leave. You come back home. I'll fix up your room. He doesn't touch me. Mom, then why are you so skinny? Why did you stop coming for Sunday lunch? I didn't answer. Does he forbid you? No. I'm just tired. Tired. She let go of my face, took 2 steps back, crossed her arms. Your father forbade you from everything too. I thought you had learned the phrase cut me in half. Mom, it's not the same thing. It always is. She left without saying goodbye. That night, Raphael came home early. He arrived with flowers, white daisies wrapped in gift paper, put them on the table, along with a box of chocolates, sat on the sofa, called me with his hand. Come here. I stayed in the kitchen doorway. I messed up, he said, voice low, controlled. I know I messed up. It was nothing. I swear to God. It was a friend's cousin. She was feeling sick. I asked her to lie down while I got medicine. I should have explained to you, but you arrived nervous, yelling, ... I didn't yell, Claudia, you yelled, and I, in desperation, did that with the phone. He ran his hand over his face, rubbed his eyes. I'll pay for another one. It can even be better than yours. But I need you to understand. I love you. I would never cheat on you. I looked at the flowers, at the chocolates, at him. Who was the woman? I told you, Junior's cousin. And the car? He blinked. What car? The car that picked you up at dawn last week. Raphael was quiet, then smiled in that tired way, as if I were a stubborn child. Claudia, love, you were dreaming. I saw you from the window. You were confused. I went out to buy cigarettes, came back on foot. You don't smoke. I quit. But that day I was nervous. Each lie was a door locking from the inside. I went to the room, lay on my back, heard him putting the flowers in a glass with water, heard the TV turning on, heard my own heart beating too fast. I grabbed the shoebox from under the bed, opened it. The 3 pieces of the phone were still there, cold, dead. I touched my finger to the cracked screen, and, for the first time, I felt anger instead of fear. In my pants pocket, crumpled, was the note my mother had stuffed in my hand before leaving the stationery store. Women's group, Baptist church, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Platna Street, 304. You don't need to believe in God. You just need to believe you deserve to leave. I turned off the light, closed my eyes. Tuesday, 4 days away. I was going to... Tuesday came slowly, as if time was also afraid. I left work at 6, took 2 buses, got off on Platna Street at 7:10. The church was small, peeling paint, green gate, open. I went in. 5 women, sitting in a circle, in the back room, plastic chairs, smell of brewed coffee, fans spinning on the ceiling. One of them stood up as soon as she saw me. Tall woman, short hair, about 40 years old. Tired and genuine smile. First time, I nodded. Sit wherever you want. We're about to start. I sat in the chair closest to the door, ready to leave, but I didn't leave. They talked one at a time. No pressure, no audience, no judgment. Stories that looked like mine. Invisible padlocks, controlled money, broken phone, man who came home at dawn, smelling like someone else. Somijed left, others still lived with them. Planning, one had 3 children, another had lost her job, another had been punched in front of her mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law said it was her fault. When it was my turn, I just said, "My name is Claudia." He broke my phone. The woman with short hair, whose name was Dalva, nodded. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" "I have my mother." "Does he know where she lives?" "Yes." "Then it won't work." "Not yet." Dalva wrote my name in an old notebook, blue hardcover, yellowed pages, then handed me a folded paper. 3 phone numbers, one from the public defender's office, one from Cree's, one her own. Anytime, even at dawn. If you need to run, you call. I put the paper in my pants pocket, deep down. I got home at 9:30. Raphael was in the living room, watching the game. Didn't even ask where I had been. Better that way. In the following days, I started small. I opened a digital account on the temporary phone that Jessica gave me, an old keypad phone that her husband didn't use anymore. I transferred 50 reais to the new account, then 100 more, then 50 more. Always on different days. Always at times when Raphael was at the bank. I hid the shoebox with the broken phone in the kitchen cabinet under the old pots. I kept copies of my documents in a thin folder that I took to the stationery store and left in the locker room closet. I changed my email password. I started writing everything down. What time he left? What time he came back? Names of people he mentioned? Cars that stopped on the corner? Small victories? Crumbs of power? The following Saturday, Dalva called me. "There's a basic computer course at Casa da Mulher. Starts Monday. 3 months. Free certificate. Will you go? I work on Mondays. At night. At night." He what? I was quiet. "Claudia, listen. You don't need to tell him everything. You just need to leave." On Monday, I went. I lied to Raphael, said it was a team meeting at the stationery store. He didn't even suspect. I arrived at Casa da Mulher at 7, left at 9. I learned the format, text, create spreadsheets, use email. Small, but mine. On the way back, I passed in front of an ice cream shop. I stopped. I bought a strawberry cone, ate it alone, sitting at the empty bus stop, watching the avenue traffic. I couldn't remember the last time I had done something just because I wanted to. When I got home, Raphael was sleeping. I entered slowly, lay down in my clothes, looked at the ceiling. I still tasted strawberry in my mouth, and, for the first time in months, I smiled. On the nightstand, my keypad phone vibrated. Message from Dalva. "Congrats on your first class. You're doing well." I didn't respond, but I saved the message, like someone who saves a key. The course lasted 3 months. I didn't miss a day. I learned Excel, Word, how to work registration systems. At the end, I got the certificate in a referral administrative assistant position at a veterinary clinic in Barra Preto. Salary almost double what I earned at the stationery store. Business hours, signed, work card. I accepted immediately. I told Raphael on Sunday. During lunch, he chewed slowly, looking at the TV. "I'm changing jobs. Veterinary clinic. administrative assistant. He looked at me for the first time. How much? I lied. 1,500. It was actually 20 to 100. He went back to Eden. Okay. I started the following Monday. The environment was clean, organized, smell of disinfectant in feed. 2 veterinarians, 1 assistant, me at reception. I learned quickly. Schedule, payment, scheduled castration, vaccination, up to date. I liked having a function. I liked being good at something. In the 3rd month, I received my first 13th salary of my life. 1,800 liquid in the account. I cried in the clinic bathroom. Jessica, who now worked at a shoe store nearby, picked me up at lunchtime. We ate pastries at the market. You're different, she said, licking her finger dirty with broth. Different? How? More, ... Here, I didn't understand at the time, but I understood later. With the 13th salary, I did 3 things. I paid Dalva for the phone calls and the notebook she refused, but I insisted. I bought a new phone. Simple, but mine. I saved 800 reais in a digital savings account that Raphael didn't know existed. And then came the mistake. At the end of the year, the clinic had a get-to-get barbecue at the chief veterinarian's house, Donna Irene, in Santa Teresa. She sent invitations to everyone. Spouses, boyfriends, families. I invited Raphael. He agreed. We went by Uber. He wore a dress shirt, put gel in his hair, brought an expensive beer as a gift. We arrived at 7. Donna Irene greeted us with a hug, introduced me to everyone as the girl who saved my schedule. Raphael smiled, shook hands, made jokes with the assistant. So far, so good. The problem started at 9. Donna Irene opened a bottle of wine and offered it. Raphael accepted. Then another, and another. At first, he became expansive, laughed loudly, told stories about the bank. Then he got irritated, complained about the music, complained about the heat, complained that I was talking too much with the assistant, Marcos, who was gay and engaged. At 10, he pulled me by the arm. Let's go. Rafa, it's still early, I said. Let's go. Donna Irene noticed, came over to us, diplomatic smile. Everything okay, Raphael? Everything, he answered dryly. Just tired. Claudia can stay, if she wants. I'll take her later. Raphael laughed, that short, acidic laugh. She's coming with me. We left. In the Uber, he was quiet, but his hand squeezed my knee hard. When we got home, he locked the door, threw the key on the table, and turned to me. You're making me look like an idiot. What are you talking about? That little fag? You were glued to him. Marcos is engaged? Raphael, ... So what? Fags have mouths too. The phrase disgusted me. You drank too much. Go to sleep. He advanced. Didn't touch me, but got too close. You think now that you're making money? You bossed me around. I looked into his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't look away. I never bossed you around, but you don't boss me around either. He blinked, surprised, then took a step back, grabbed the key, went to his room, slammed the door. I sat on the sofa, heart racing, hands shaking, but I didn't cry. 2 days later, Donna Irene called me into her office. Claudia, I need to tell you something. I sat down. Your boyfriend, ... husband, boyfriend. He's not a good person, is he? I took a deep breath. No. She nodded slowly. If you need help, address, lawyer, anything, I know, Paopli, just say so. Thank you. When I left the office, I passed by the hallway mirror. I looked at myself, hair tied, white blouse, badge on my chest. I thought I deserved better. And this time, I believed it. It took me 4 more months to gather courage. Not because I lacked desire, but because leaving requires money, address, plan. Dalva repeated this every Tuesday. Leaving any which way means coming back worse. So I saved 3,800 reais in the secret savings, authenticated copies of ID tax number Work card. Address of a women's boarding house in the Carlos Prates neighborhood. 40 reais a day, coffee included. No questions. Name of the lawyer who saw people for free at the public defender's office. And the date, August 12th, the day Rafael was going to travel to Montes Claros, visit his brother. He had told me on Monday he was leaving at dawn, coming back only on Sunday. 3 days? Enough time. On Thursday morning, I went to work as usual. In the afternoon, I left an hour early, said I had a doctor's appointment. I took the bus, got off downtown, went straight to the bank. I transferred the 3,800 to my checking account, withdrew 2,000 in cash, left the rest in digital. I went back home at 6. Rafael had already left a note on the fridge, back Sunday. Anything, call. I wasn't going to call. I grabbed a small suitcase, the same one I had brought when I moved, put in clothes, documents, toothbrush, the old broken phone inside the shoebox. I put the money at the bottom of the backpack, wrapped in a blouse, locked the suitcase, hid it in the kitchen cabinet behind the pots. On Friday, I went to work, came back, had dinner, slept. Nobody suspected. On Saturday morning, I woke up early, took a long shower, washed my hair, put on moisturizer, put on the clothes I liked most, jeans, green blouse, white sneakers, grabbed the suitcase, looked at the apartment one last time. I didn't feel sorry, I felt relief. I closed the door slowly, without slamming it, went down the stairs, 3 floors, as always. When I reached the street, the sun was rising, cold air, city waking up. I got an Uber, gave the boarding house address. The boarding house was an old 2-story building, faded blue gate, fern garden on the porch. The owner, Donna Lucha, was a woman about 60 years old, graying hair, tied in a bun, floral apron. She received me without questions. Room 3. 2nd floor, shared bathroom, but has a good electric shower. Coffee at 7. I went up. The room was small. Single bed, dark wood, window with a view of the street. I put the suitcase on the bed, sat on the edge, stayed there, quiet, listening to the sound of the city outside. I didn't cry. I slept. On Sunday, I woke up to a message from Rafael. 10 missed calls, 6 messages. Where are you? Claudia answered, I came back early. You're not here. Your things are gone. You're going to pay for this. I found you once. I'll find you again. I blocked the number. On Monday, I went to work normally. Donna Irene called me into her office again. You left? I left. Are you safe? Trying. She wrote down the phone number of a lawyer friend of hers, criminal lawyer, said that if Rafael showed up at the clinic, she'd call the police. I thanked her. On Tuesday, I went back to the group. Dolva hugged me tight. You did it. I did. And now I breathe, but breathing hurt. Because freedom doesn't come clean. It comes with fear, with guilt, with the strange feeling that you did something wrong, even knowing you did right. Rafael tried to find me, sent messages on Instagram, on Facebook, created a fake profile, showed up at the old stationery store looking for me. Jessica called to warn me, went to my mother's house. She closed the door in his face. I filed a police report, requested a protective order. It was granted in 15 days. In the following 3 months, I rebuilt. I kept my job, moved to a small apartment, shared with another woman from the group. I started therapy through SUS for a month wait, but worth it. I went back to having Sunday lunch at my mother's house and, little by little, remembering who I was before the padlocks. It was on a Saturday in November that I met Leonardo. He was a clinic client, brought his cat to be spayed. Friendly, polite, history teacher at a state school, asked for my number. I gave it. We went out twice, movies, pastries at the market. The 3rd time, he invited me to dinner at his house. I accepted. The house was simple, organized. He cooked pasta with homemade tomato sauce, salad, pudding for dessert. We talked about everything. Work, family, music, books. He was funny, attentive. When it was time to leave, he offered a ride. You don't need to. I'll get an Uber. Claudia, it's late. I'll take you. Something in the phrase froze me. In the car, he turned on the sound. Loud music. Sertanayo. He started singing along, tapping on the steering wheel. Looked at me, smiling. Sing along. I don't know this one. How do you not know it? It's a hit. He turned up the volume. My chest tightened. When we arrived in front of the boarding house, he turned off the car, turned to me. I really enjoyed today. Me too. We could do it again next week. I took a deep breath. Leonardo, can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you insist on bringing me by car? He blinked, confused. Because, it's dangerous for you to go back alone? But I said I was getting an Uber. Yeah, but would you have respected it if I had insisted? He was quiet, then smiled, a bit embarrassed. Claudia, I just wanted to be nice. I know, but kindness has to respect no. Leonardo nodded slowly. You're right. Sorry. I got out of the car. He waited for me to enter. Waved through the window. Left. I went up to the room. Sat on the bed. Grabbed my phone. He sent a message 10 minutes later. Thanks for today, and for teaching me that. Really? I smiled. I didn't respond right away. But, for the first time, I knew I had a choice, and that I could choose not to respond, or block, or give another chance. The power was with me. I decided to give a chance. Not to Leonardo, to myself. A chance to test if I could be with someone without disappearing, if I could say no and be heard, if I could feel without sinking. We went out more times. He learned quickly, asked before deciding for me, respected my time, split the bill without drama. He wasn't perfect. Nobody is. But he was present, and that was already rare. 4 months later, he officially asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes, but with conditions. No moving in together for now. No key to my house. No shared passwords. He accepted everything. Claudia, I don't want to trap you. I want to know you. And he did. Slowly, with patience. In the meantime, life went on. I got promoted at the clinic. Now I coordinated reception and helped with finances. I finished a technical course in administrative management. I saved money and bought a used camera. I always wanted to photograph. Never had the courage. I started recording small things. Donna Lucia, S-Cat sleeping in the sun. Saturday market. Simone laughing in the kitchen. My mother seasoning chicken on Sunday. Photography became therapy. Looking through the viewfinder. Adjusting the focus. Deciding what goes in and what stays out of the frame. It was too practical a metaphor to ignore. I was the one choosing the image now. Raphael disappeared, or gave up, or found someone else to control. I don't know. I didn't try to find out. The protective order expired, but I didn't renew it. I didn't need him as a ghost to define me anymore. A year and a half after leaving that apartment, I rented a kitchenette just for me. Small, but mine. No padlocks, no doors locked from the inside. I chose every piece of furniture, every pot, every towel color. I hung on the wall a photo I took from the boarding house window. Pink sky at the end of the day, satellite dish in the corner, clothesline swaying. The image was imperfect, but it was mine. Leonardo came to visit me on moving day. Brought pizza, soda, helped hang the curtain. When he finished, he looked at the apartment and said, "It turned out your way. Is there another way?" He smiled. That night, after he left, I sat on the old sofa I bought at a used store, looked at the window, grabbed the camera, adjusted the focus. Clicked. The photo came out blurry, but I liked it anyway. There are days I still dream about padlocks. I wake up sweating, heart racing, looking for a key that doesn't exist anymore. But then I get up, drink water, look at my apartment, unlocked door, open window, curtain swaying, and remember, I left. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fast. It wasn't clean, but it was possible. Today I'll work, photograph, date, fight, make mistakes, get it right. I leave you. And if there's something I learned in all these years, it's that starting over isn't erasing what happened. It's deciding that what comes now will be different. Not perfect. Different. The box with the broken phone is still stored in the closet. I never threw it away. It's my amulet, my ground zero, the day something in me shattered, but also awakened. Sometimes I meet women in the group who are just starting. I look at them and recognize the fear, the guilt, the exhaustion. I say, you're going to leave. Not today, but you will. And they believe. Because I'm living proof. If you're reading this and something in you hurt, burned, recognized, listen, you're not alone and you're not crazy. Leaving is possible. It may take time. It may be in pieces, but it's possible. Seek help. Support groups, Public Defender's Office, CREES, Women's Police Station, 180 hotline. Talk to someone you trust. Make a plan, even a small one. Save money. Separate documents. And if you need to leave, life on the other side isn't perfect, but it's yours. And that's worth everything. If you or someone you know is in a domestic violence situation, call 180 Women's Service Center 24/7 free. Look for the nearest women's police station. CREES, Public Defender's Office, and reference centers offer psychological, legal support, and shelter. Talk to people you trust and build a support network. You deserve to live without fear. You know, Claudia's story makes me think, how many of us have already lost our own key? I'm not just talking about abusive relationships. I'm talking about any situation where we start disappearing, accepting crumbs, thinking we don't deserve better. The truth is that starting over hurts, but staying trapped hurts more. And the first step is always the hardest. Admitting that something isn't right. If this story touched you in any way, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories. Leave your like to strengthen this content. Turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever a new video comes out, and comment down below what city or country you're watching from. I love knowing that these stories are reaching far and touching hearts all over the world. See you in the next video.